The number 2 car, Castrol GTX Ford Mustang. Tony Pendragon at the wheel doing his burnout. Again, working our way through yesterday's early qualifying session. Pendragon at the wheel of the Ford Mustang, all-pro, back tools, Castrol GTX. Number 2 car, number 2 in the points. All you need is a little bottle at home, one of those spray bottles with some nitro in it. Oh. John Medlin rolled him into position. Thanks, Bonnie. Go get him, Tony. And immediately up in spot.
Tony smoked the tires a lot sooner than he did. Like about 9 feet.
Even the 60-foot time was well off from their earlier 9.0. Tony Pendragon on that lap, a 14.91 lap, not the run they were looking for out of the Castrol GTX machine. But we're showing this to you right now. Look at this. Raindrops keep falling on my head, and that's not the song we want to be singing here in Virginia. Oh, I tell you what, it's a little tough out there, a little wet out there. We're working our way through the pay-per-view program, bringing you some highlights from earlier qualifying sessions, because we are, right now, underneath the rain delay. It is unfortunate, Steve Evans, but it is reality.
It is unfortunate, but I tell you, I feel blessed, and I'm sure the fans do here as well, that drove long distances in person to see this race, because they got one unbelievable first round of action today and 2 incredible qualifying days. And let me remind you, there is one more scheduled pay-per-view telecast in 1997, and that will be coming up in Columbus, Ohio. That is on June 15th. Our airtime will be 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. That is Eastern Daylight Time. Now, I say that is our last scheduled pay-per-view telecast. And remember, there is no live television whatsoever of the Pontiac Excitement Nationals. It will be on ABC Sports the following weekend, along with myself and Gary Gerald and Frank Hawley. There is no live TV of the Columbus Pontiac Excitement Spring Nationals. So the only way you're going to see it, present tense, live, is pay-per-view. And if the subscription rate is high enough, if you tell all of your friends they got to experience the pay-per-view NHRA style, who knows? There's a possibility that later on in the year some additional events could be added. But this is a very, very expensive project, and it needs more viewers, quite honestly, than it has right now. We appreciate all of your support, but it needs much, much more if we're going to continue with this project. So tell your friends this is the hot tip. They got to get the Pontiac Excitement Nationals on that weekend from the brand new National Trail Raceway. NHRA has purchased that property, and you won't even believe that facility when you see it in person or here on pay-per-view. So we need to rally, gang. That's what I'm telling you. You need to get behind this, or that might be the last pay-per-view you ever see. That's a little candor maybe I wasn't supposed to offer, but I'm telling you the truth. That could be finita la musica on this deal, or it could mean more pay-per-view even this year and into the future. So right now we have got Sportsman action. You wanted it, you asked for it, you demanded it. We have got it from yesterday. First round of Federal Mogul action. 16 cars in each category, well, almost 16. And here again is the to tell you all about it.
Thanks, Steve. And for those of you to follow up a little bit on Steve, if you don't have the cable company's not carrying your neck of the woods, hey, there's always the dishes. And they're pretty easy to install, let me tell you. This is round number 1, Federal Mogul Dragster from yesterday afternoon. Saw some great laps. Jay Payne, number 1 qualifier. 5:52, over 250 miles an hour. He comes back, goes 5:57 yesterday at 255. I maybe just gave that one away a little bit. Right now, what you see on the screen, Bill McCormick and Michael Gunderson. Gunderson, the lane closest to you. McCormick, the number 8 qualifier, just got bumped out by Michael Gunderson. 572, 244 to a 578 at 245 miles an hour. Gunderson quicker down track, McCormick a little faster down the racetrack. But the demand flow technology machine and McCormick not there for that session. Gunderson goes into round number 2, which, if things clear up here a little bit, we'll be bringing you a little bit later on. Lewis Bloom joining me back in the booth. Here's a pair for you.
Looks like Michael Barton. Michael Barton completing his burnout out of New York Paving. Qualified number 5, ready to take on his wife, Candy Barton, and her dad's Federal Mogul dragster, Tony Lieber from Florida. This is a great battle in Federal Mogul dragster.
Michael came into this session. He has the lane choice. He's your number 5 qualifier. Wife Candy, number 12. And Lewis, this isn't exactly the way these two wanted to end up qualifying, facing each other here in round number 1.
They raced each other several times this weekend during qualifying, Michael having the quicker car all weekend, but Candy did a great job at Gainesville going to the semifinals. She had a great run there. Michael won the U.S. Nationals a couple years ago as an alternate. Tony Lieber backing up his daughter, Candy Labor. Now Candy Barton, she lives in Long Island, New York with her husband, Michael. I think her Christmas present was a new supercharger. and that's a pretty buck too, right, Unc?
Yeah, it's a pretty buck. Of course, you can't quite put it on the necklace and wear it around the neck either, though.
Nah, it's not jewelry.
No. But the candy, just as important as anything else.
Joey Alexander, the crew chief for Michael Barton, telling him to move up to the starting line. Tony doing the same on the opposite side of the racetrack. Great start by Michael Barton. He had the reaction time with a 4:62. Candy with a 6:87. Barton a 5:86 at 2:40. Candy not too far behind, but she was a little bit late. A 5:89 to 2:41.
Was that a situation where team playing came into effect, or was Candy just late? That's a great question. Michael has had the quicker car all weekend long, and it may have just been a situation where he was ready, and she might have been thinking about having to keep a happy home life now that they're married.
Well, Alan Reinhardt mentioned on the PA that it was probably a better idea for Michael to give up the win light. And we've seen that a couple times with a couple husband and wife teams, and also when Jay Payne raced Shelly Anderson back in the Federal Mogul Dragster Series a couple years ago, as he gave Shelly the win light.
I believe Alan's comment yesterday was, Michael, I've got good news and bad news. Michael, the good news is you won. The bad news is the couch is going to be a little uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Next pair coming up, a pair of cars out of Division 1. In the near lane, Cliff Bizzelli out of South Jersey, ready to take on Rich McPhillips. That's the injected nitro car, the only one here this weekend. And check out the injector stop on top of that car.
Well, they have mandated the size of the opening now on the Federal Mogul Dragster on the injected fuel cars, the A-Fuel Dragsters. So the size of the opening, or the frontal area of the scoop that you see there, is now relegated by size. Some of the crews were coming up with, it looked like half a building sitting on top of the car trying to suck air into these A-Fuel Dragsters. But again, another situation. I mean, we've seen Bushy go 555s and 550s to take the win at Phoenix, and yet with the quality that the A-Fuel cars are now running, only one car this weekend. The rest blown alcohol.
Jess Bushy, who qualified great at Boise, with a 5:57 and a corrected altitude track. I mean, that track is high up in the mountains. Did a great job. There's a good look on Cliff Bizzelli's car. Division I champion. Bizzelli qualified number 7. McPhillips on one pass this weekend, got into the last session, qualified number 10. See the nitro car dropping cylinders about 800 feet out as the wind light goes to Cliff Bizzelli with a 564 at a 451 reaction time, ran 242.71. McPhillips a 575 at 241. He had a 526 green light, so Bizzelli advances to round number 2. McPhillips, though, did make 2 passes down the racetrack this weekend that were really good. He'll be ready for the Federal Mogul Drag Race Series event coming up next week at Cecil County Dragway.
Again, back here in your neck of the woods, and I'm sure you'll probably be there for that event.
I'll be an interested spectator on Sunday, rooting for all my friends, hanging out in the bleachers, relaxing. It'll be fun, though.
Busman's holiday for you.
Absolutely. Ice cream cone in one hand, Coca-Cola in the other one.
How do you stay so thin?
It's probably from stress, actually.
Oh. There's no stress in this job.
Not in this job.
Next pair doing their burnouts. You can see them backing up already from it.
It's like a Seinfeld episode. Who are these people? Waiting for the smoke to clear. Bill Reichert, the Bars League's car. Bottom side of the ladder, ready to take on Sean Bowen. Reichert qualified number 6. There's the Bars League's dragster out of Michigan. Sean Bowen's car, the Muffler Man. Good Division III battle before we saw Division I cars.
Sean finishing 4th over in Division III last year. Strong running automobile. Taking a win last year over in the middle part of the country. Strong running car. Took his division win at Topeka, or excuse me, at Kansas City last year. Help himself out in points. See Bill Reichert get up on the tires and smoke them. Sean Bowen going to the next round, 576, 231 miles an hour. Had the advantage off the line, 458 to a 487 reaction time for Reichert. Reichert struck the tires about 80 to 100 feet out, slowed to a 619, 231 miles an hour in the Bars Lakes car. Finished number 7 in the points chase last year, and looking for a round win here this year, round number 1 at the Pennzoil Nationals. That was not to be. So Sean Bowen goes into round number 2. We continue to work our way through Federal Mogul Dragster qualifying, or excuse me, Federal Mogul Dragster first round of eliminations from yesterday afternoon. You can see the blue sky and the sunshine. It was great.
You can see John Spellman's race car on the side of the racetrack. John will check out the pair here, make sure he's coming up. Spielman was supposed to make the run, but did not make it as he was stuck in traffic. That's John Spielman's race car off to the side of the track. Was supposed to run round number 1. A solo pass coming up for Dennis Draft. Getting set to roll up in the water. The X-Side Battery Federal Mogul Dragster that qualified number 4. Here comes the burnout. John Spielman called on a cellular phone from Route 95. He had to go back to his business in Northern Virginia and called and told Len Cantrell that he was stuck in traffic. They brought the car out just in case they get into the gate and get his helmet and his safety equipment, but it did not happen. So Draft will get a single pass.
That happened a couple of years ago to John Force. He called from the cell phone from outside the racetrack and said, "Guys, I'm stuck in traffic. Send somebody out after me." So one of the crew members got on one of the pit scooters, rode out to him. John got on the pit scooter, rode in, and just barely made it in time.
Like trying to get into Woodstock sometimes, right? We're talking Woodstock 2, by the way.
Oh, well, I was around for Woodstock 1, too. Also, Yes. So Dennis Drath on a single here. He will go into round number 2. The pairings will put him up alongside Michael Barton. If you ask these guys, they'll tell you they don't want to make a single. They just as soon run the competition.
Nice lap for Dennis. A 5:62 at 2:48. Round number 2 will have lane choice over Michael Barton, but a nice clean run. Picked up the front wheels, went through the 2-speed, the 3-speed gear changer, and made a nice run. And I'm sure the Exide battery folks happy to see that. He'll advance to round number 2.
Well, lane choice may or may not mean anything. We've seen it when it does. We've seen it when it doesn't. But he does have it going into round number 2. Hopefully yet this afternoon.
Hopefully.
Time will tell.
Art Gallant. Randy Parks next up. The Riding Decal Fluke Instruments machine, which qualified great in the 550s. The number 3 spot, the quickest Oldsmobile drag car of all time. And Mark White, the crew chief, just loves saying that.
There's Art Gallant doing his burnout coming at you. Car a little devoid of decals. Lewis, is this a new car for Art?
Actually, I think it's about 2 seasons old. Art Gallant from Massachusetts used to race jet cars for many, many years. Decided to take some time off, get back into his business, and last year brought out this Federal Mogul dragster. Has been getting better every time he goes to the racetrack. But up against the number 3 qualifier, he'll need everything.
He will. Randy Parks out of Lombard, Illinois. The Fluke Instrument Riding Decal machine. Fluke Instrument, of course, the manufacturers of high-end electronic test equipment, I guess would be the best way to put it, measuring devices. Riding Decal, probably the only car sponsored, or the only car manufacturer sponsor, I guess is the way I want to put it. Riding Decal manufactures something that every competitor in NHRA drag racing uses, and that is decals. They're on every car. Even Art Gallant's got one on the side of the car.
Only one. That's great.
But everybody uses it.
Gallant in the near lane, Parks in the far lane. Parks last year number 4 in the Federal Mogul Drag Race Series, a top 10 player. Gallant already puts the bulbs on, trying to push some pressure on Parks. Nice launch.
Art was up on the RPMs for quite a while, but it's Randy Parks your winner in round number 1, 5:58. 251 miles an hour, 498 to a 5:17 reaction time. So Art going in quick didn't upset Randy, and he still got the advantage off the line, took it straight down the racetrack, and in round number 2, he goes up alongside Sean Bowen. And based on the numbers, Randy Parks will have lane choice in round number 2.
There's also his second 550 pass of the weekend. He qualified with a 550, runs a 5:58 first round. And I have to point out, this is prime time racing conditions. The sun was on the racetrack. The temperature was relatively cool, a little bit of wind up on top of the timing tower, but that's a great run for Randy Parks. His team was very happy with their performance.
We had a little bit of a headwind Friday that slowed some of the qualifying down in Pro Stock and Pro Stock Bike, but that wind died Friday night, and that's what opened up the door for that 200-mile-an-hour pass. Here's the doctor.
Dr. Jeremy Torres-Bite, ready to take on Nedot. Now, some of the folks out there watching on the West Coast might recognize this race car. The Hadman chassis machine that once belonged to Bobby Taylor and Gary Turner that won them the championship, the Winston Championship last year. So this is a proven piece. It was shipped from California to Pennsylvania just a couple months ago. And Nedot loves the ride.
Oh, he's got to. I mean, you buy a Winston Championship car in any category, that's a pretty stout ride to start off with. Dr. Jeremy Torres-Bite out of Arizona, a world-renowned pediatric heart surgeon. I mean, he will travel the world and teach pediatric heart care to doctors in Sri Lanka and a lot of the countries over in Asia. He has done it. He does it every year. Tremendous gentleman. Writes an article for National Dragster in the back last page. Keeps all of us a little bit healthier, or at least makes us think about it a little bit more.
We try.
Jeremy Torres-Bite qualified number 2 in the category. Another great lap down into the 550 zone out of a blown alcohol car. Nedot qualified number 15.
Torres-Bite with a lot of tire smoke, folks, as he comes up with a winning 572, finally dumping the laundry. Nedot did a good job on the starting line. Reaction time just about identical, Bob. 466, 465. Nedot ran 6 flat at 206, but Torres-Bite, with that big speed at the other end, went by him.
Got up on the tires a little bit. You saw the tire smoke.